Good afternoon, DPDers. I want to come to you today and talk to you about how I decided to choose a vehicle and the parts list that I have for my vehicle. You know, again, this is a planning opportunity for you. And before you even decide on buying the vehicle, if you're going to make that step, you may already have a vehicle in your possession, but if you're planning on buying a vehicle, before you make that decision, that a very expensive decision of buying the vehicle, you should also look into what is it going to take to modify that vehicle to make it race ready. And so I had an excellent opportunity to do that and actually work with SCCA in helping me with understanding the parts that would qualify and the parts that would not qualify for racing in the class that I was focused on. So what I want to do is kind of share my spreadsheet. It's not all the details that I have some of the stuff hidden, but what's important is that the organization is there so that you all can see what steps that you can do. Again, the purpose of this entire channel is to make you feel comfortable with jumping into racing yourself. And so again, this is amateur level stuff, but still half the issue is just the concern of risk. And if you have proper planning, then that risk can be limited as much as possible. So that's what I believe in. So wanted to share my list with you and kind of explain my thought process and how I got to where I am right now, to where I'm very comfortable moving forward with my plan. So I'm showing you now my spreadsheet, and there in the spreadsheet you see at the very top there listed the vehicle that I chose, which was a 2015 Ford Mustang GT. And what I really liked about the Ford Mustang GT was that I didn't have to go very far in options added to the car to get it to where I had a very good base car to start from, to build a race car from. So as an example, I wanted a manual. They offered a manual. I wanted just the first performance pack, and I got the performance pack. The performance pack includes three basic things. It includes the wheels and tires. It includes front spoiler, belly pan, and it includes the 3.73 gears with the torsion differential. So when you have those three basic things, that's pretty much all you need to have, I believe. You don't need leather seats. You don't need heat and cooled seats. You don't need a 12-speaker sound system. You don't need some of the departure lane type stuff. And so when you add all those other options up, all you're end up doing by choosing that vehicle is a vehicle that is going to be more costly than it needs to be, because you're going to rip all that stuff out anyway. You're going to rip all that out. You're not going to need it. You're not going to want it. And so I needed just a very base GT car that had those other items in it that gave me a good base to start from. Now I'm going to change out the wheels and tires. I mean, they're 19-inch Pirelli P0s on the car right now. They're pretty wide wheels on the car. They got the Brembo brake package that comes with that wheels and tire package in the front. But I'm ripping all that out because I know that I have to upgrade to a race level anyway in order to do very hard racing. You need to understand what those costs are. I actually took the step of figuring out what that was involved before I got my vehicle. So I felt very comfortable with the round number that came up with, to where I could say, okay, I can actually go and see what other people are selling their race prep used vehicles for. Already, you can see that online. I can already figure out how much I'm going to be spending on buying this used base car, sports car that I'm going to use to race with. Add that with my parts list, and now I can figure out, okay, you know what? The number that I come up with, obviously my parts list does not include also the cost of hiring a mechanic to do certain parts of these tasks, which you're going to see throughout these videos. Which ones I feel comfortable doing putting on the car myself, and others that I feel like I definitely need a professional mechanic to take care of. Obviously, things like alignment and so forth, there's no way around it. You have to have a mechanic do that. Having said that, and so I could add those two numbers up. Again, my used car that I'm targeting, what that roundabout average price is going to be, my list of parts and how much those are going to cost, and put that number together, and then balance that against someone, several people, many people out there who are out there selling their used race cars. Now, the advantage to buying that existing race car is that, number one, it's already qualified to race in that racing series. Number two, it's race proven. Everything's been worked out. All the bugs have been worked out. Yeah, they probably haven't done all the things that you were going to do to your vehicle, but at least whatever it is, whatever setup it currently has, it has been race proven. So that is a plus to buying an existing race car. I wanted to enjoy the process. I'm new to this. I wanted to enjoy the full process going through this. So I hope that you do too, and that's what this channel is all about. So again, going back to my spreadsheet, I started off with figuring out all the things that I wanted to put on this car. All of them. Now, I didn't have all of it completely filled out, but I had ideas. I've been researching this for months. And coming up when I would write down on my phone, I would literally write down on my phone, at night I think about, okay, maybe look into superchargers. Maybe, what's the best supercharger for this vehicle? And I would go and research it the next day and put that on my list. And then go read the rules. And some of the rules are very clear as to what's allowed and what isn't allowed. So I took the time to actually start categorizing in green and red. And so in the red are areas that I knew that those parts would not apply to this racing series that I want to race in. Again, I'm racing SCCA Touring 1 class, okay? And then the green, I would put parts in that I think are qualified. And then that list is what I went and talked to SCCA about. Again, they were very kind to do that. I don't know if they're going to do that for everybody. They did it for me. And I appreciate every moment that they gave me over the phone. So my first set of no's, which I call these the no's in reds, these are engine modifications that are not allowed in Touring 1 class. And so they're things like, well, I won't even get into it, but piston changes and so forth, right? But there's a lot of people who do that sort of stuff, right? They add a new crankshaft, they add this, they add that. And some of that stuff, again, depending upon what class you're racing in, they are not allowed. And then the next group of items that weren't allowed probably won't get approved by SCCA race officials. So in that grouping, I wasn't quite sure if the rules said yes or no to them. So these are the items that I put in that category. And the third red category is won't add these without adding the supercharger. So the supercharger came in the group of things that probably won't get approved by SCCA race officials. And so I talked about in a previous video around, anytime that you're taking an older car and you're wanting to improve it to make it more equal to a newer version of that car, they may allow you to turbo or supercharge that car to get it up to speed. Well, they're not going to do that with the Mustang, at least not with my 2015 Mustang GT. So those items that were going to be with the supercharger, obviously I can't add them now. That included things like a larger throttle body, okay, an improved manifold, things like that. All right, so let's scoop down to the green sections. And so what I did was I came up with groupings based on the rules of things that I can add. And so based off of those groupings, I also listed the rules that are attached to those types of additions. And so I wanted to be sure, not just knowledge-wise, and also double check with SCCA these items are okay, but also I wanted just to have the actual rule that pertain to each one of these categories. And so I could always refer to them later and didn't have to keep asking SCCA once I understood the philosophy that they have for touring one class. So again, racing, and each class that you're racing in is based on a certain philosophy. And all the rules are built around that philosophy. Once you understand that philosophy, you'll get very comfortable with what type of racing is going to take place. So the engine group, as you can see here, there's a lot of rules around adding to the engine. I have, as you can see here, some hidden items here listed, rows 34 to 39. So that's about 6 items that I've hidden there, and they add about that amount of money of additions I want to add. The exhaust group, there's some things I want to add to the exhaust. There's about 3 lines of items there. And then the body upgrades, aerodynamic body upgrades, they do allow some of that. So there is 2 items there listed. Then you go to under body aerodynamic upgrades, you can look at adding a front splitter, and then adding a rear wing. And then you get into your equipment inside the cockpit. I call it driver equipment group. And then your driver controls group, and that's about 10 items there. And then you're talking about your brakes group. And what you also see here is a hidden column B, where I have also decided to, based off of how important each one of these groupings are, that I need to add these items in succession to my vehicle. Also group them and have them placed numerically, so that I'm not having to take off the tires and wheels every time I want to add this or that out of order. And so now you can see the final number there. That's what I've added up to about how much I think I'm going to spend on improving my race car. It's about $30,000. So, you don't have to spend that much, or you can easily spend a lot more. But that's how much that I'm going to do in order to get this car where it needs to be. I hope this was very helpful to you in helping you organize where to begin in creating your race car. And again, all this is about risk. At the end of the day, it's a financial risk, it's a legal risk, it's a health risk, but the number 4 risk that's involved here is fun. And I think number 4 outweighs the other 3. And so I hope that you guys are having fun, enjoying these videos. I hope it inspires you to do your race car build as well. And again, if you have any comments, please place them in the below the video here. Please like my videos, please subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you again. DPDers, I hope you're having a great day.